I feel like this is a resurgence of what we've been talking about when no one really believed in EEAT. Everyone was just like,
Yeah.
it's an indicator, but it's not. It's hard to define. I
Mhm.
think now we're seeing the fruits of people who took that seriously benefiting from LLMs. You don't just jump into an LLM if you don't have the backup, the past, the history of quality stuff. Uh, Hey everybody, it's Alan and Victoria from Blue 7 Content. We want to talk to you today about something that has to do with a policy change at OpenAI, a rules change based on some search, and it deals directly with what we do, and especially what Victoria does. Because OpenAI made a change that relates to how it responds to medical and legal questions. And I've heard some people say financial, which in my brain immediately went YMYL, right? We've been doing this forever, your money, your life. Google was always more careful with the things it did and when it pertained to those topics. So, off the bat, let's go look. I want to go in here and look and see what it says. But what do you think? I'm going to give you some language for their changes, but what do you think about the change?
Oh, me? So,
Yeah.
as if there's someone else in the room, virtual room that we have. I mean, we are learning all this together. There is no set rule book. I think it's been a change that we were waiting, that I believe OpenAI has been flirting with for too long, longer than what it should have. And particularly with the medical, if you want to get into like mental health stuff.
Yeah.
But the legal stuff, I mean, I don't know. It should have been addressed the first time that guy got sued, or not sued, that guy got in trouble for providing court documents that were,
Yeah. Well, and then we've had
hallucinated.
a slew of it since.
Yeah, and it's just been, but anyway, but I want to hear more. Give me
Yeah.
more about what this policy is.
Okay, so as of October 29th, just last month,
Okay.
OpenAI has said their latest terms of use state that users can't use its services for provision of tailored advice that requires a license, such as legal or medical advice, without appropriate involvement by a licensed professional. So it doesn't ban, and they have made it clear. An article from Bloomberg Law has made it clear that they're still going to be able to give legal information and medical information, but this seems to be a slight liability shift towards the user a little bit.
Not a little bit, a huge, huge bit.
You mean OpenAI doesn't want the liability for this?
Oh,
Bloomberg Law, anyway, they said in there that the company's intention is to really overtly shift as much responsibility to the user by saying you use this at your own risk. And for these kinds of things, this is what you can use it for. And it's not going to it's not a substitute for professional legal or medical advice.
mhm. Yeah, I mean, they have to shift the liability onto the user. And I think, I am grateful that they're saying that you need to look at a licensed person, because people are always looking for the shortcut. People are always going to look for the quote unquote cheaper route, and they just end up spending money more at the end. I mean, we see that in the marketing world. We see that in the SEO work. There is no quick shortcut. As much as these AI pushers want you to believe, there just isn't any. So I like that that's happening. I also think, it's almost like they're backtracking on like what they can do. Like when AI first launched, right? When ChatGPT first launched, it was like this huge disruptor in the legal field, right? Like, whoa, like hold your jobs. AI is coming for you, and
Yeah.
all these people that were sales for AI, they were all pushing this narrative of like, this is the answer, not the person. And we've just seen that that's not true. And now that it's becoming more accessible and lay people are using it more and more,
Just
right?
democratizing the access to legal advice and at least legal knowledge that people wouldn't have
See,
otherwise had access to.
and you would think that, right? But it's also like giving information without providing a scope or without
Mhm.
providing a framework is like teaching 101, right? You can't just provide a slew of information without giving guidance or without giving structure as to what that information is. It's irresponsible to do so.
And well, here's what I honestly think this is going to lead to is once it narrows down on what kinds of legal questions and medical questions it can answer or should answer, or what it can monetize, because what I think it goes to, yeah, they're going to point you to an attorney for if you need this kind of specific tailored advice. If you've gotten the chat
Yeah.
down to where it's like, alert, alert, we have to go to a licensed professional, you're going to get the attorneys who are paying for ads inside
Yep.
the LLMs. I think that could
Mhm.
be a way that ChatGPT monetizes. That's the way that Google monetizes with their AI responses. I can see, in my mind, I wrote in the blog when I wrote this, I said, I smell ad opportunities coming here. Someone's going to make money.
Oh, I mean, they've already said, and I say they, it's like it's the gods that be of
The
AI,
nebulous
right?
they.
The nebulous they. Like they've already said that they're gonna monetize at some point. They've
Yeah.
already
Oh, they
said
have.
this
Yeah.
is not gonna be free forever. So I guess that's why like when you said like a democratized like way of giving information, like I immediately push back because I'm like, I wish for that open source. Do. And I know there's routes that you can go to take it, like a library, but this is not like the world of LLMs. It's not free. It's a facade. You're gonna have to pay for it at some point. A pay to play for sure. And then
Uh,
also I think it's just a reminder that AI only puts out what it gets in. So it's in a way telling you don't trust us because you can't trust everything on the internet. Like
yeah.
you cannot trust AI. Like it's almost like Wikipedia, right? I mean, I know we've mentioned this before. It's a good place to start. I think the way that you even utilize your AI, which I am way more like leaning into, which is just like talking thoughts out, saying, hey, can you just record
Hmm.
this thought for me and summarize it for me? That way I can go back to it and address it. Like,
Yeah.
it has created a whole shift in how I journal because I do talk things out
Mm.
more, and it is making it a lot easier to process and stuff, but at the same time, like, that's very different than what it wants you to use it for, which is like search things, get answers, search things, get answers. And these answers, again, you have to remember where these answers coming from material that's already being scraped on the internet. And it's also why, like, I am such a passionate, fervent, like, advocator for people to not allow AI to scrape their stuff. Like, opt out. If LinkedIn, which we know LinkedIn is already opted you in
Uh-huh.
to being scraped or mined or wherever you want to call it, you have to physically go in and opt out. The same with Google Chrome. I think you have to physically go in and opt
Yeah,
out.
with Gemini. We are the product.
Right, and it's just like, I want to be known as a respected and expert without calling myself an expert, right? Because legally I'm not allowed to, but,
She
I
didn't.
want to be known as the face of this area of law, and I want to have control of who's getting my information, which is from me to my potential client. Yes, AI has already I mean, on my website we do these, searches, right? To see like these controlled searches, like to see like where my website's landing. And we know that it's
Yeah.
landing in LLMs, which is amazing. And I love that. And I want to be able to be found that way. And then when they visit my page or they see a video of mine, they're going to know that it's me.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And so it is not surprising that AI is coming out with this policy. I am surprised that we haven't seen more lawsuits against
Hmm.
LLMs, to be honest.
Well, the family, I think this policy change probably happened because that kid's family is suing OpenAI because they found the chats where it encouraged him and prompted him along the way to unfortunately
Mhm.
take his life. So now, but you do have proponents. Even Reid Hoffman, who we just mentioned, he's a proponent of using AI to help the mental health crisis in this country, and that opens up a whole can of worms. Like, what does that even mean? So there's ends of the spectrum, but I think what we are. Marketing agency and have a law office. If we want to show up consistently, I think you have to show up everywhere. I think you have to show up with content that is well written and reviewed by the person who is behind the content.
Mhm.
You answer questions that you know people are asking. You do as good as a job as you can write that content. It really goes back. I feel like this is a resurgence of what we've been talking about when no one really believed in EEAT. Everyone was just like,
Yes.
it's an indicator, but it's not. It's hard to define. I
Mhm.
think now we're seeing the fruits of people who took that seriously benefiting from LLMs. You don't just jump into an LLM if you don't have the backup, the past, the history of quality stuff. And
Mhm.
I think you're gonna continue to have that. So legal and medical, we're mostly legal. If you produce this good content, if and when they put some kind of halter or block or little thing, or we want you to see an attorney, here's a few that we know that do this well. If you've built your reputation up in whatever it's asking, you're more
Yes.
likely to be there. That's my thought behind all of this.
Yes. Yes. I mean, and it's so like my brain goes in like 8 different directions because I do have like the marketing perspective, the legal perspective, the
Right.
client perspective, you know? And I think what you said is true to bolster yourself to prepare for that type of, eventual monetized shift in AI. But I also I have like another like 4 different thoughts. But what I'm seeing with these policies is something that we talk about in my women's studies course, which is, does society create the law or does law create society? And I'm not trying to get existential here. We only have like a short amount of time.
Yeah.
But this policy that's in place, I don't think it's weird to see when you have policies being created now in law that say, if you are an attorney and you provide your court documents, your claims, your briefs, your motions, you have to indicate whether or not it was created by AI. I mean, this is
Mm,
a video that you and I had created, I don't know, like a
yeah.
couple weeks ago,
I'll
where we
attach
looked
the
through
video down
different,
below. Yeah.
yeah, where we talked about different states, Florida, Texas, Illinois. And then we kind of like got into this kind of conundrum of like, well, what is considered AI, right? Because a lot of templates that we use in
Yeah.
firms, particularly
LexisNexis
for
has
like
had
AI,
AI for a while.
yeah, that is AI. So what are they considering? And I think they are just trying to attach like the LLM, but at the same time, like Lexis now has its own LLM, right? So it's kind
Right.
of like difficult to understand, you know, and maybe we're going to get into that, right? Maybe we're going to get back into this, Lexis, Westlaw are just the constant authorities in law, and you don't have to clarify it if it comes from them because we
Mm,
know they are a niche, whatever. But if you use some other derivative, which then means like, once again, practitioners, smaller firms are going to be isolated out from using these resources because it costs like a crap
they're
ton of money.
expensive.
So once again, right, it's still just reinventing the same structure that we've been in. But I do find it like interesting that OpenAI, these LLMs are looking to see how they're playing out in court and then addressing as such, as opposed to being forefront leaders and already considering these things and creating these policies first. But it
Oh,
just
that's
goes
a
to
little
show
too
you.
optimistic. You did
I
not
know.
expect
It
that,
just
right?
goes to show you that they don't care. It goes to show you that lawyers are not in the front part of it, albeit I know lawyers that are in the system, but a lot of these creators, almost like teaching curriculum and administration, so many people in that world have never stepped foot in a classroom. I think we're seeing that with the tech bros. They've never been in a courtroom. They've never been to law school. They've never, and is what it is. Not to say that you can't have perspective, but damn it, I might just say you don't have perspective.
Yeah. I mean,
So sorry, that was a bit of a rant, but it's just kind of how I feel. I also hate my background. So
what?
apologies to viewers.
Where are you?
I'm in my living room. My upstairs is full under, like, not construction, but I'm finishing touches on my office on the third floor.
Well, we'll get to see the new office soon. We got, all your signage will be up
Yes.
and it'll look good. Guys, folks, not just guys, gentlemen, anybody else. We are approaching 40 subscribers. Y'all give us some love. We got to 35. We're almost 40. Want to get
Yay!
there. We want to just bring this policy update to you. We'll keep track of any other AI policy updates that directly affect law, legal marketing, We will keep you up to date.
Yes.
If you want to check this out, I'm going to embed this video into the blog that I've already got out there. It's on there on our website under the Insights tabs. Y'all have a good
Oh,
morning,
wait,
afternoon, evening. What?
like and subscribe.
Yeah, like and subscribe. Yeah,
Like and
we're almost at 40.
subscribe.
But like